Hi guys, well it's the 5th of January 2018. Actually made it to 2018, what a miracle. Nearly died of heat exhaustion the last couple of days. It's been stinking hot in Cairns, so much so that people spontaneously combust just walking down the street. Well, not quite, but gee, it's not far off. I don't know how people got out and about. It was just disgustingly foul, hot weather. We had some rain last night, and the cool breeze came straight through, and it felt like heaven. It was a huge change, and we really needed it. And apparently, December had been the driest December since 1951. So yeah, it was hot and dry, and it got particularly bad the last few days. So it's been a really good, big blessing to have some relief in the last 48 hours. No regrets whatsoever. So I'm out on the balcony now. It's not much of a breeze, but it's still very pleasant compared to yesterday. It's just really hard to relax when it's just pervasive heat all around you. Got a few things organised with my forthcoming trip to Southeast Asia. It's going to be a bit different to what I usually do. It's going to be a little more hectic in that I've got a few stopovers. I mean, I'm going first off to Bali because I live in Cairns. The only really direct way to get to Southeast Asia is either go to Bali, get a flight from there, or get the Jetstar flight that goes to Bali, then connects with Singapore. This time I decided just to go to Bali and look for connections there, and so I decided to stay a night there and pick up a connection the following day with Thai Airlines, and they would I'd have another night that I'd stay in Bangkok before I actually get to my final destination in that leg, which is Chiang Mai up in northern Thailand. And I think it's I've never been to Chiang Mai in February. The latest I've been there is in January, so that'll be a little of a new experience. I checked with a friend of mine who actually has property out in the country there, and he's lived there quite a bit, and he says that last year the burn-offs were stopped, because that's one of the big problems with being there at that time of year. February and especially March, it is covered in smog caused by farmers burning off foliage. It just creates a pall of smog across the city, which is very unpleasant. If you've got asthma like I do, you just don't want that. Plus the fact it's just unpleasant anyway. But apparently the new military government must have come down on the farmers like a ton of bricks and really enforced the laws. And my friend told me that even in March last year, which is notoriously the worst, it was clear. So it shouldn't be an issue this year. So it looks like they're cleaning up their act as far as that burn-off is concerned, which is good because it's an environmental disaster, really. So that's good news. And I've already mentioned the other good news in the bank. I was happy to stay in Bangkok near the airport because I wanted to... I thought it was a consolation prize because I thought my favourite bar had been closed down, which it had, which was in the centre of Bangkok. So I thought there's no point going right into the centre of Bangkok if my bar, the main reason for being there, which was Cheap Charlie's bar, if that was closed. As it's turned out, it's been resurrected, and it's on Knot, which is in an area, more of a suburban area toward the airport, on the BTS line, the SkyTrain line. So I can cut across by taxi from where I'm staying, which is on the BTS. It's the SkyTrain line that goes directly to the airport. So there's two separate lines, and I'm going to be taking the other one, or I'll get a taxi, one of the two. But I'll get a taxi across from where I'm staying, across to where the new Cheap Charlie's is located. Just so stop in for a couple of hours and check out the ambience, which would be nice. So that's good. So it's only one night there, and that's what I want to do. And I've seen Bangkok, and I'm not a big fan, and I'm quite happy to skip going into the centre of town. I don't need to do that. and then Chiang Mai for a week, which will be interesting. I'm going to be in the old city, so it'll be a nice central location. Get my dental work done, go to the markets, have a bit of food, go to a few bars, do the usual things. But at least I'll be right in the centre of town, and I'll have access to a push bike, which will be nice. Because the small sois in the old town of Chiang Mai are really nice to ride along. They're narrow alleyways. Unfortunately, they take cars down there, so you've got to squeeze your way around those if they happen to go down one of the sois when you're riding your bike. But it's still quite a good way of getting around town. So that'll be interesting. I'll try that as a new thing. And the other new thing I'm going to do is when I go to Saigon, well, it won't be so much new initially, but getting there will be new. It'll be Vietjet. I'm flying with them, which I've never done before, because they've got a direct flight from Chiang Mai to Saigon, and that's about the only airline that does seem to have that. I don't want to go with AirAsia and having to go through Bangkok and then with a connection to another flight to Saigon. It's much better if I can go direct. But of course, Vietjet have issues with punctuality, and hopefully the flight will be on time. But I'm factoring in it could be a few hours late. But at least it's supposed to get into to Saigon at about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. So even if it's delayed by 2 hours, it'll still only be 6 o'clock in the night. So it's not late. And I know exactly where I'm staying, because I decided for the first 4 nights I would stay in a hotel where I've stayed before. So no orientation issues at all. And then the different thing I'm going to do is go down to Vung Tau 4 nights later for 3 nights to an Airbnb hotel that I've booked at. Well, it's just a hotel, but they also take Airbnb bookings. And I'm doing 3 nights there just to check it out. It sounds like that should be good fun, a nice contrast to the hectic scene in Saigon. And if I like it down there, I might spend more time down there in the future as opposed to being in Saigon. We'll see how it goes, but I think it's time for me to stretch my wings a bit and try something different. And when I go back to Saigon, I'll be in a different Airbnb place. It's a relatively modest one. It's up 4 flights of stairs, so that's going to be a bit of a challenge, although I'm quite capable of doing it. But it's a really nice little design, cute little place, and it's in a different part of town to where I usually stay. It's still fairly central, but in the opposite direction to where I usually stay. So it'll be a different experience. So I needed to freshen this trip up a bit, and I'm glad I've done it a little differently. So it'll be interesting to stay in my first night that I'll be staying in Bali. I'll stay there for 1 night, which I've never done before. I'll only stay in Kuta. I won't be going any further away than that, but I've never really explored the area anyway. So that'll be good. So the trips turned out to be okay. I had to actually change my itinerary a little bit with the bookings. I reduced 1 night with the booking in the last week in Saigon to have an extended stay in Vung Tau. I thought 2 nights there wasn't enough, so I extended my hotel booking for 1 night, and that was no problem at all. So that's all been arranged, so that's all bedded down. I've just got to get the visa organised for Vietnam now, and it's not a great deal to do. I'll do a bit of clothes shopping. I will take some luggage, so I'll make sure I'll get some clothes, especially in Vietnam. I bought this yellow shirt, which was a long sleeve shirt, incredibly cheap, and I don't know what's happened to it. I've just lost it. I know I took it to my cousin's place when I went back. I flew back to Melbourne. But since then, it's a mystery where it's gone. Maybe it is here somewhere, but I don't know. Look, have a look out there. It's quite amazing. See, there's a bit of cloud cover, and I can hear the rain in the background, which is amazing. It's something I'm not complaining about. That's for sure. It's nice to hear raindrops. Apparently, there's a few more days to come, and that's fine by me. More than happy to have a bit more precipitation, as it were. So I was just and reflecting upon 2007. It's been a big year. I had I sold a place, sold my flat in Melbourne, bought a place up here. Selling when you're actually overseas is a little stressful. I don't know if I'd be doing that again. Probably added to the stress of the Saigon trip. It was okay, but you know, it was just another hassle I could probably do without. Plus the fact that I had that really severe burn on my leg when I took a moto taxi, so I won't be doing that again. I've still got a scar there too. You can just see it on. I don't know if you can see it on my leg there, but there's actually there's a bit of a round scar there that's gone down, and at least it's healed. But you know, it was pretty frightening when it first occurred. Not super painful, but it just basically melted the skin, and that was frightening to see. So I wouldn't want to go through that again, and so I'll just avoid that by, well, there's two ways I can avoid it. If I get a moto taxi, make sure I'm wearing long pants, or secondly, just basically get taxis. Taxis are pretty cheap anyway. It's not a matter of cost. It's not going to make much difference inside Saigon. You know, that's one place you can afford to get taxis regularly. So that was a pretty big deal. The other huge deal in 2017, and thank God this didn't occur when I was overseas, so that was lucky in a way. It was unlucky for this to occur, but it was still lucky that it didn't occur when I was OS, and that was to have my to lose sight in my right eye. Sorry, my left eye, I should say. My left eye is my good eye, and that's when I lost eyesight in. I got these flashes of colour and what have you, and a kaleidoscope of colour. Well, if you do get something like that happening to yourself, go and see an eye specialist. I should have just popped straight into Specsavers. It was over the Easter break, of course. These things always seem to happen over holiday breaks. But I could have got in a couple of days earlier, and I thought by actually delaying the getting a consult done at Specsavers, which is so easy to do. It didn't even cost me anything. It was a free thing we can get in Australia. You can have an eye test, I think, once a year, free of charge. So that's fabulous, and you can get it done at a place like Specsavers, and they're everywhere, and lots of malls and what have you. And they were very good. I was very happy with them. I got my glasses there previously, and I've got no complaints with them at all. I think it's a well-oiled machine, the old Specsavers. So, but unfortunately I didn't. I went to my normal GP, and they just basically said you're going to have to go and just get your eyes tested anyway, and get a referral from Specsavers in any case. So I should have just gone directly to them. So I wasted my time and delayed the process by doing it that way. And that normally wouldn't be such an issue, except that it happened to be just at the crucial time when the lens in my eye moved from the macula. It's moved from that range, and it got to an area where they basically then had, I went all the way to Townsville to have the operation, and I had to come straight back that same day because the macula had moved in that 24 hours that had been diagnosed. So it was that time critical, and I could have avoided it. And I thought because of that, I was going to lose visual acuity in my left eye. But as it turned out, I really dodged a bullet there, and I've got my full eyesight back by the looks of things, because I've got crappy eyesight in the first place, and I didn't want to jeopardise it any further. So yeah, I really dodged a bullet there, and thank God it happened when I wasn't overseas, because I would have really, well, you could go to local practitioners, but if you're in a place like Vietnam, you just don't know what you're going to get. You need to go to people who are pretty good at what they're doing. It would have been under travel insurance, but it's a bit messy, and I wouldn't have had to go for all that. I still have to pay excesses and all the other crap. But basically, the healthcare here is pretty good. I mean, you know, I even got a free flight down to Townsville, because that's the biggest regional hospital, and this area covers a very large geographical area. Cairns does have a hospital with eye specialists, but they don't do the particular operation that was required on my eyes. You know, when you've got a retina that needs to be put back into place, you need to get the specialist, and the only person that could do that was actually resident in Townsville Hospital. And I found Townsville Hospital were very good, but trouble is I had to go there twice because of the time frame situation I had. So anyway, it all got sorted, thank God. I'm very happy to be living in Australia, free healthcare and all that. It's really been a boon for me of recent times. And you know, it is a relatively easy place to live. If you're in a place like Southeast Asia, you know, you basically got to fend for yourself. You know, I've been told by bar girls that if they've got any major medical situation, they have to pay if they go to a hospital. They don't have free healthcare. They don't have a socialist health system, which I found extraordinary. I mean, I knew it wouldn't be up to our level, obviously, because they don't have the money. But I thought they would have provided some basic cover as still being a socialist country. But no. So they've got the worst of both worlds in a way. They don't have that security. Thank God they've got that familiar type of situation, the family bonds that keep them together. I mean, it's all well and good if you've got a family that's got the wherewithal to look after you, but of course they don't. They can give you moral support, but not much else if they don't have the finances. So, yeah, it's tough living over in Southeast Asia, especially a place like Vietnam, which is getting richer every year, but it's still on a long haul, and they're a fair way behind the likes of Thailand. So anyway, considering all the crap I've had, and of course financially, it actually was a pretty traumatic year financially too, with the stock market and everything. In my case, I went through the trauma of having to sell all my Woolworths shares because they turned out to be a dog and had to get rid of them. And I took a loss of about over 7,000 on a capital loss. So basically for the whole year I have a capital loss on my trades of stocks for that year, the last financial year that is. So on top of that, the next body blow that took place was my biggest holding of stock was in Telstra, and they decided to slash their dividends quite savagely by about a third, and there was even rumours that they were going to be cut even further. And of course the stock price just absolutely dropped like a stone. I've got quite a few shares in Telstra, and an average price of $5.30. Currently they're about, and this is they've recovered to about $3.70. So there's still a huge gap, and I'm way down with that particular stock. But in spite of all that, and that's a huge millstone around my neck because I've got such a big holding, overall it hasn't been that bad a year on the stock market for me, because I did have the smarts to at least buy into stocks, certain stocks that have actually gone up, and Blackmores was the best buy I made. I was able to buy some Blackmore stock under $100. Actually, 89 was the cheapest I got them at, and they've gone up about 100% on that, and I've already taken a profit on half the holdings I earned. So that was great, and it means that this next financial year should be much better than the last one. And I couldn't imagine that there's going to, I think we're over the worst with Telstra, hopefully. And my other telco holdings, TPM, which is TPG, who I actually use as my internet service provider. I'm now in profit with them, but I was in loss initially because both the telcos have been hit really hard because of our NBN over here, which has been a total disaster. And I still can't believe that the public servants who run the NBN are the most highly paid public servants in Australia. It says a lot about a lack of accountability in this country in the public sector. That's all I can say, because the NBN's come in for so much criticism from consumers as it's being widely distributed throughout the country. And it has had a very negative effect upon those two telcos. But I think the worst of it's over for them. And the ACCC, which is a governing body looking up prices and governance of these companies, is going to come down hard on NBN, and the government will just have to write off the capital they put into it as a huge loss. They shouldn't have got involved in it in the first place. Should have left it to private enterprise, but governments have a tendency to get involved in areas they shouldn't in a lot of times, and they get their fingers burnt. It's best to leave private entrepreneurs to take the risk in a lot of cases, I think. But anyway, I'm still alive. I've still got the shirt in the back, and if anything, my finances are better than they were. I've now got my own place again in Queensland now, and it's nice to have ownership here. And if I look at the being next to the creche is a bit of a pain. I'm actually recording this around midday, and the urchins downstairs, they tend to go inside from about 11 o'clock and through to about 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then they scream their lungs out again for a couple of hours in the afternoon and early morning as well. Luckily, they're not open on the weekends, and they're not open on public holidays. But they didn't take a break over the Christmas New Year's break, which is a bit of a pain. But it's a nice area here, and when it is quiet, I like to sit out here if I can. So, and yes, the rain is continuing to come down, which is great. So the weather's, we're going to get a definite respite from this hot weather. And that's basically my update for the up and bringing you into the new year of 2018. Please consider subscribing to my channel if you think there's anything there of use to you, or entertainment or whatever. And either do that or give me a thumbs up, or if you're feeling really energetic, do both. That'd be great. But please don't ignore me. That's the worst thing you can do on YouTube, is be ignored.